it, hit it.
Well, hello there everybody. My name is Marley Bird, and in this video, I will show you how to make the Bumpy Road Crochet Spa Headband. This spa headband is a quick crochet project. It is great for the beginner crocheter or the advanced crocheter. It has a couple of extra skills in it that will keep you intrigued, and you will love the finished project. For this crochet spa headband, I use 100% cotton yarn, a size G or 4mm crochet hook, a knitting needle for the I-cord, a good pair of scissors, and a stitch marker. This is a free pattern available at marleybird.com. I've put a link in the video description box right down there below, and while you're down there, please smash that like button, as my kids say. Okay, go ahead and grab that cotton yarn from your stash. I know you have it, we all do. Get yourself a hook, get that free pattern, and we can make ourselves a spa headband in no time. I'm so excited to make another one of these headbands because I've already made two and I just love it. We're going to start off with a slip knot on our hook, and then we are going to chain 38. And you want to make sure that your chains are not super tight, but they are also not super loose. Okay, so make sure you get all 38 chains completed. Once you have all 38 chains completed, we will work back along these chains. But because I want the edge of our headband to be nice, I want to work along the chains from the back bump. I like to call that bump the butt of the stitch, okay? So we are going to single crochet in the second chain from hook, okay? So we will single crochet in the second chain from hook, and we will do a single crochet in each one of the chains all the way to the end. And again, I'm going through that butt of the stitch so that way I get a nice finished edge along my headband. It's just one of those little extra finishing touches that will set your headband apart. I am coming up here to the last couple of chains of my row 1. And I do want to recommend that at the end of this row, you go back and count all of your single crochets. You should have a total of 37. But I want to point out, looking at the bottom, can you see how it has that nice V edge right there? That'll look really nice along your headband edge, okay? To me, that single crochet row is the longest row of the entire piece, but maybe that's just me. Something about the tediousness of working into that back bump. But from here on out, I find it smooth sailing. So let's go ahead. We do have to chain 1 and turn, and that will bring us to row 2. Row 2 has us begin with a single crochet in our first single crochet and 3 double crochet. So all of those instructions are written inside parentheses, and that means everything inside those parentheses you will do in one stitch. And that one stitch is this very first single crochet. So I want to make sure I get that single and 3 doubles all into that first stitch there, okay? So I have a single and 3 doubles. Now I will skip the next 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3. In the following single crochet, I will do 1 single and 3 doubles. So I do 1 single, if I can get it to work with me here. So 1 single and 3 doubles. And I'm going to repeat that down the row until I get to the end. Okay, skip 1, 2, 3. In the next one, I will do a single crochet and then 3 doubles. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3 skipped. In the next one, we do a single and 3 doubles. After you complete your last set of single crochet and 3 doubles, that's where I am right here. You will skip 3 and do a single crochet in the very last single crochet of the row. Okay? Then you will chain 1 and turn your work. That's the end of row 2. At this point, your hands might be a little tired from playing with the cotton yarn, and that's perfectly normal and natural. If you need to take a break and stretch your hands out, now is the time to do that. Simply set your work down and kind of give yourself a little bit of a break and stretch your fingers out so that way you can make it through the entire piece without any issues. All right? Okay, let's move on to row 3. Row 3 is just like row 2, only instead of skipping single crochets, we have to skip double crochets. So it's really convenient. It's just the same thing, single crochet and then 3 double crochets into that first single crochet, skip 3 double crochet, and in the next single, you will do a single crochet and 3 doubles. This will give you sort of a bumpy look to the fabric. That's why it's called the bumpy road. And I thought that it was very fitting given that at the time of this video and the time I'm releasing this pattern, we are all at home dealing with the COVID-19 quarantine, and it kind of feels like we're all on a little bit of a bumpy road, and we could use a little spa time, right? So making these spa headbands, it just seems like it's the perfect little combination. So to me, it's a little bit of a play with the words in reference to the time of life we're all living in, and then the item itself is all about relaxation and self-care because we all need it, no matter what time of year. I feel like it's very important we all take the time to take care of ourselves. Whether we're getting a facial, putting on our makeup and having a good time and playing around, or taking off our makeup at night so that we can go to bed fresh and clean and wake up nice and refreshed. It's a good time to have a little bit of self-care. And I hope that this little spa headband brings happiness to you, because I know it has brought happiness to me. Coupling up this headband with like a washcloth and a good soap is actually a very good idea for a gift, or if you want to sell them at the craft fairs as a set to for people to buy. That's actually a very good idea. It's just a good little quick gift here. I like it a lot. All right, let's see here. It becomes pretty easy as you get going along. I told you row 1 seems to be the hardest row for me. As you come up to the last single crochet, where you're doing your last set of the single and 3 doubles, you'll then skip 3 doubles, and in the very last single, you will place a single. Okay, so that is the end of row 3. Looks pretty good. We do have to chain 1 and turn our work, and we are back to the right side of our fabric, and that is important. That will be an important factor here, and we are going to work back on this side. And row 4 is literally just a repeat of row 3, so nothing new to learn here. We start off with the single crochet and 3 double crochets into that first single, just like we did before. And then we will skip 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, into this single crochet. We'll do another one of our single crochet, 3 double crochet sets. And at the end of the row, we will finish with a single crochet at the very end. So go ahead and work down this row, and I'll meet you down there at the opposite side. Last double, come over here to the first single, and make sure I get into both loops there. I don't want to just get into one, and work my single crochet. Okay, so this is the end of my row 4. I do want to chain 1. I want to point that out, but I am not going to turn. Okay, so I'm at the end of row 4 and I'm not going to turn. This is the right side of my headband. Okay, so this will be what would be literally at the top of my headband. And now we're going to work along the side of this body that we've created, and we will create a little bit of tapered stitches right here to get down to 4 stitches that we can then do a crochet I-cord. Now, a crochet I-cord is very similar to a knitted I-cord. The only difference is that we hold off one of the stitches to then ladder it up at the very end. If you are a knitter and are familiar with knitted I-cord, feel free to carry on as a knitted I-cord once you get to that point. For those of you who are crocheters and have never done a crochet I-cord before, I'm going to show you how I like to do it using a knitting needle because I find it the easiest. So let's carry on. This would be the headband part of the pattern. Hopefully you've taken a second to stretch your hands out. I know that as I work with cotton, my hands get super tired. I'm going to rotate my body of the headband 90 degrees, and I'm going to work along this edge right here, okay? So I have a chain 1, which was the end of my row 4 of the body. And so here I am working along this edge for the headband, and I'm going to single crochet 4 single crochets evenly. And when I get down here to this edge, I'm going to do a slip stitch, okay? So I'm just going to go right into the side here and do 1 and 2 and 3. We have 4 rows, so if I put one at each row, that seems to work out pretty nicely. So there's 4. And then right here at this edge, right where those the chains are, I'm going to go right underneath those chains, yarn over and pull up a loop. And you could do a single crochet there if you want, okay? In the pattern, I wrote a slip stitch because the single crochet to me made it poke out, but you could do a single crochet if you think that that's better for you. But for me, I just wrote a slip stitch. So see how it gives me that nice V right there at the top, but I don't get a bunch of bulk there. Okay, so that gave me my 5 stitches that I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the 5 stitches that I need. Now I will chain 1 and turn my work. Now I'm going to single crochet 2 together. So I'm going to go into the slip stitch that I did, yarn over and pull up a loop, go into the single crochet, the next one, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and draw through 2. Then I'm going to single crochet in the next single crochet, and then I'm going to single crochet 2 together again. So I go into the next one, yarn over, pull up a loop, go to the next one, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through all 3. Okay? Now I'm going to turn my work. I don't chain 1, I don't do anything. I simply turn my work. And now it's time to begin the crochet I-cord. So with the loop on my hook, okay, I'm going to insert my hook into the very first stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. I insert my hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Then I insert my hook into the last stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. So I have 4 loops on my hook. Can you see that? Okay. If you're following along with the pattern, you'll notice now that the instructions tell you to follow along either with the pinch method of the crochet I-cord or the knitting needle method. I'm going to show you the knitting needle method in this video because I cannot for the life of me get the pinch method to work. I'm always losing stitches. But if you can watch the knitting needle method, you can very easily learn the pinch one. Okay, does that make sense? It will here in a minute. Okay, so I have 4 loops on my hook. The first thing I want to do is grab a knitting needle, and I'm using a double point just for ease. You can use a regular knitting needle if you want to. And I'm going to transfer these loops from my hook to my knitting needle. Okay, you see that? All right. Now my yarn is down here, and that's perfectly fine. I'm going to take a stitch marker, if I can get it to come up here, and I'm going to place a stitch marker through this first loop here. And I'm going to let that loop come off, and I'm just going to let it sit there. I'm going to let it hang out. We'll come back to that later on, okay? Now, with my yarn down here on this loop, I am going to start working stitches off from this end, and I'm going to treat them sort of like slip stitches. So let's move this stitch off, put it on my hook. I'm going to yarn over my hook and pull that loop through. Take the next stitch off, yarn over my hook, and pull that loop through. Take the last stitch off, yarn over my hook, and pull that loop through. So I have 3 loops on my hook. I'll place those 3 loops back onto my knitting needle and repeat the process. So I'll go into this first stitch, which I could have left on the knitting or on the hook without taking it off, but you do what works for you. Take the next one off, yarn over and pull through, and then take the last one off, yarn over and pull through, and then put them back on your knitting needle. If you're doing the pinch method, you just eliminate the knitting needle. You would actually like pinch those and let them just rest out there live. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of a tip here. As they're on your knitting needle, if you can tell that the back leg of the stitch, this part back here, seems like it's a little bit forward as opposed to that one, as you take your stitches off the knitting needle, take them off from the back, okay? And then yarn over and then pull through. Oops, let that one go. So this one here, again, the back one is ahead of the front one. So I will go in and I'll take it off of the back, yarn over and pull through. This one is also set up so that it's the back, but let me switch it around just so you can see what I mean. So what I mean here, see how now the front one is ahead of the back? So if the front is the one that's ahead, I would come into the front, take it off, yarn over, and pull through. Okay? Slip them back over to my knitting needle and repeat. I'm going to continue on doing, oops, I went that one wrong. I'm going to continue on working my I-cord until my I-cord measures about 11 inches or until it is just about perfectly measuring around your head, including the body. Okay, you don't want the I-cord and the body to end up being too long, otherwise your headband is just going to fall off your head. You want it to be a little bit snug, so err on the side of having it be a little bit too small versus too large. But on my original sample, I made my I-cord about 11 inches because my body was 10 inches, and it made my overall size 21.5 because of the extra bit on the side of the body. Okay, so go ahead and keep going with this. It goes faster than you think once you keep going along, okay? I am finishing up my final row, I think, of my I-cord. I'm gonna measure it here, and it's about the same length as my body. If I stretch it, it's a little bit longer, so it might be a little bit too big, but I'm going to stop right there. Okay, so I have stopped, and I'm going to place the last row of loops on a stitch holder. So I'm going to take those off real quick, and I'm going to grab another stitch holder, and I'm going to place those on a stitch holder. Now that I have those on a holder, I can rotate my work, and I want to get back down here to this stitch that we have marked. First, let's take a look at the I-cord we created. You can see here at the back side of the I-cord, it looks crazy messy. Okay, you're kind of like, Marley, you could have done a better job. Well, absolutely. But here's the cool thing about a crochet I-cord. By placing that loop on that stitch marker, we're going to treat that loop as if it's a drop stitch, and we're going to pick up all of the long strands or the ladders that are open and exposed right here along our I-cord all the way up, and it will tighten up the I-cord and make it nice and neat. So I can take this marker out now. I will grab my crochet hook, and this is going to be something fun. This is exactly what all of the knitters do. You see that long strand right there? That long strand, we want to take our hook, go underneath that long strand, and then pull it through that loop that we had on the marker. So it's like a slip stitch. Then we're going to go up, we're going to find the next long strand right there, and we're going to pull it through the loop. We're going to go up, find the next long strand, and pull it through. And we will continue doing this all the way up until we get to the very top, where we will then place the last loop on that stitch holder with all of those other stitches. And so we'll be back to 4 stitches. Now, because we're working with cotton, it's okay to give it a little pull like that to give yourself some room, okay? Because it wants to fight you. And just find that long strand. Make sure you have the long strand, and then give it a pull. Okay. All right, so I've pulled up my last loop here, and now I want to place it onto my holder, and I want to place it onto my holder on the side that is not with the yarn still attached. So I can just place it right in there, just like that. So I'm just going to place it on the holder just so I can test everything. So I did end up undoing some of my I-cord here because I felt like it was too long. So it looks pretty good to me. You can see that once I pick up all those stitches, the I-cord is a lot cleaner than it used to be. And now we can move on, and we're going to create extra stitches here, and then we will seam this I-cord to this edge, okay? So if you're ready to go, I am. Let's go ahead and put our stitches back on our hook. So I'm gonna take these stitches off, and I'm gonna put them on the hook so that way the yarn is at the tip of the hook, okay? So here I am, I've placed them all back on my hook, and the yarn is right here near the hook part, okay? This is what I want to do here. I have 4 loops on my hook. I want to chain 1. So I'm going to chain 1. Now I will yarn over and draw through 2. And then yarn over and draw through 2, maybe. And then yarn over and draw through 2. Okay? Now what I've done here is I'm going to point these out using my knitting needle. This bump right here, I'm going to work into and create 2 stitches. I'm going to work into this bump and create 1 stitch. And then I'm going to work into that bump and create 2 stitches. Okay, so those are the bumps I'm going to work into. All right, so I've established essentially what my foundation row is going to be. Okay, can you see the bumps on yours? All right, so here we go. We chain 1 and we do not turn. So I'm going to go into bump number 1 and work 2 single crochets. So there's 1 and there's 2. I'm going to go to bump number 2 and create 1 single crochet. And then I'll go to bump number 3. Make sure you get into that bump. Might be a little tricky. I know that when I work with cotton, I have to mess with it a little bit, but you can get into it. I know it. All right, there it is. And we're going to create 2 single crochets here. So now we're back to 5 stitches. Okay, so we have 5 single crochets. Now I'm going to cut my yarn, and I'm going to leave myself a nice long tail because I'm going to use this tail to seam it to this edge. But before I do that, I am going to take my needle and I'm going to weave this tail from the very beginning in. And I like to fray the cotton edge a little bit and then thread it onto my needle. I don't know why, I just find it easier. So I fray the strands apart and then push them into my tapestry needle. You can see there, look, I still have one missing. Still wants to fight me. Fight me. Don't fight me. You will lose. All right, so I have all my strands. I want to make sure I'm on the wrong side of my fabric. And the best way to tell the wrong side, look at your V's up at the top and at the bottom. If it's facing you and you can see the V's nice and neat, then you're looking at the right side. If you turn it around and you're looking at the back side of those stitches, then that's the wrong side. So this is the wrong side. Another way is the tail is now over here to my left. And I'm going to thread it up. And I'm using a nice pointy tapestry needle to really get this yarn through the strands of the cotton so it really holds into place. And I'm just threading it back and forth, really burying my ends in here. And once I get this up here where I feel like it's nice and secure, I can go ahead and snip that. I don't want to put a knot in it because it's going to be against your head and you don't want to have a knot rub against your head, okay? All right, so this is the wrong side, which means this is the right side, which is important because with our I-cord here, let me finish off my I-cord. I'm going to go ahead and make a knot. Let's see here. Do I want to make this knot or do I not want to? I'm going to finish it off. I'm going to make a knot. Okay. So my I-cord, I want to make sure it's nice and straight. So I'm going to hold it and make sure it's straight. Bring this up. And here's where they're going to meet up, okay? So they're meeting up. Feel like that's straight. If it's not straight, you could flip it around like that if that makes it straight. Whatever makes it straight on yours, okay? And I'm going to take my tail here. Thread it onto my needle. Let's separate those once again. And then pinch them over my needle and see if this one is a little bit easier. They tend to fight me. See? Always. Cotton always fights me with threading it onto my needle. And I don't know why. All right, thread it in there. Come on. Come on, buddy. Get in there. Come on. I will win. I will prevail. Let's see here. Straighten those out. Yes. Look at me go. All right, here I am. And this is all we're going to do. So with the right side of the body, the right side of your I-cord, you're going to grab, I like to grab so if this is the V, can you see the V of the I-cord? Or these were the final single crochets. This would be what would be closest to me, the front loop. And then imagine you have 5 single crochets along here, because that's what we had before. And just kind of place them all along the edge. So this would have been a single crochet there. That's a good spot. Pull it through. Come back over here, grab the next one, come over here. And we're just going to whip stitch these together. When I whip stitched the other samples together, they came out just fine and they looked really nice. So I am assuming this one's going to be just the same. But if you have a different way of joining together that you would like to give a try on yours, you absolutely could do that. It's totally up to you. I had debated whether I wanted to do like a row of single crochets along this edge, but then I didn't want to go back and have to have even more ends to weave in when I felt like this was sufficient enough just to increase to those 5 stitches on the actual I-cord and then just whip it all together. Because whether you have the 5 single crochets along the edge or not, you still have to do seaming to the I-cord. So this just made sense to me. I mean, and look at that. That's like practically invisible. So why do any extra work when that is literally good enough? Now, I don't really like how this bump is up there, so I'm going to thread my tail just up through the edge here and come back up here. Do a little surgery. I'll grab this edge. This is where I did the knot to finish off my work. I probably shouldn't have done that. Let's get into that. Maybe I'll go through both of those. 1 or 2? I'm going to go through 2. Oh yeah, that's much better. And then I can come back over here and thread it down. I will tell you, this nice pointy needle is fantastic. I'll be sure to link to it in the video description and in the pattern because it is great. These pointy yarn needles have saved my patootie several times trying to weave in ends on fabric that is just really tough to get into. So now I have turned my work over and I'm just going to take a second and weave in this tail. And because I have this nice seam right here that I can use, I mean, why go into the actual body of the fabric when I can use the seam and just kind of tuck in my tail and get rid of it. And it will look nice and neat. All right, and once it's all in where I want it to go, just give it a snip. And your little headband, you guys, it's complete. Look how cute that is. Start to finish, it took me just a little bit over an hour, and I have a great little headband. If my hair wasn't done, I would put it in to show you, but this is just great. It's gonna hold back my hair just perfectly so I can wash all this war makeup off, right? And it'll be great. That's it. I hope you really like your Bumpy Road Spa Crochet Headband. It's a lot of fun to make. I know that you will enjoy it. It's perfect for either as a gift to yourself, or maybe you have a loved one who really enjoys playing around with makeup. You can give it to them, or maybe you have somebody who really likes to spend a lot of time at the spa, and it's a really convenient way to just kind of hold your hair back and a great way for you to say, hey, I love you and I'm thinking about you. All right, guys, that's it for me. I'm Marley Bird. This is the Marley Bird YouTube channel. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you've hit subscribe so that way you can be up to date whenever I release a new video. And if you do make this headband, please share with me on social media. Use hashtag Marley Bird so that way I can find your project and smash your like button. I'll talk to all of you again very soon. Bye. Thanks so much for joining me on the Marley Bird YouTube channel. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to hit subscribe. I've put a link right over there, or you can watch a couple of the videos I've already selected for you right down there. If you want to follow me on social media, I've put my links right over there. You could have all Marley all the time. Bye, guys.